Everyone, we're back. Ready? All right, so this chapter right here, chapter 23, it's a lengthy chapter, 22 pages, but like I said, it's not heavily tested for state exam. There's a few things I'm going to go over real quick. If you were taking the broker's course or if you're taking the property management course, we'd go more in detail here, okay? So why do I believe risk management is something that we still need to cover no matter what? Because every business must be addressed with some type of risk prevention, right? Every business. And when you become a salesperson, you are in business for yourself. So therefore, risk prevention must be there as well. So understanding the concepts of risk management will help you in your business, okay? Let's start real quick with what is risk. If you guys remember when we talked about investments, and we talk about real estate investments, I said that investment was clearly a risk. It could be low risk, medium risk, or high risk, right? So the question now is, what is risk? Risk is the chance of losing something, all right? So its two dimensions its two dimensions are the probability of occurrence and the extent of exposure to monetary and non-monetary consequences. Since most risks are related to judgments and decisions, the real estate licensee, who makes numerous complex decisions every day, faces a degree of risk, high degree of risk potential. So risk management is a structured approach to dealing with uncertainties and consequences of risk. In the real estate practice, the aim is to reduce risk of an acceptable level through anticipation and planning. And you're probably thinking, well, I don't accept any risk, right? But unfortunately, you get out of the house, there's risk. Actually, you get out of bed, there's risk. If you stay in bed, there might be risk too. So anything we do has some type of risk. Very simple, right? And by the way, let's put it like this. If you don't expose yourself, you won't make money. Expose yourself, talking about the license, you don't make money. And if you're not making money, you're not getting sued. But if you're getting sued, most likely means you're making money. So it's a good thing. Let the risk come. You just have to plan and prepare for it. So risk management strategies. There's avoidance, reduction, transference, and retention. If you were taking the insurance license, we'd be talking about these as well. So it's funny because my real estate, my insurance instructor years ago, every time he closed the day, right, he always said, remember, manage your risk. That's how he ended the day every single day as I was taking because I took property casualty, life and health. And every single day was, remember guys, manage your risk. So this is a person that had a kidney, or has a kidney disease. And to manage the risk, he always had a box of donuts for us, right? I'm like, yeah, you can't filter these things, so you're giving it to us. That's how you're managing our risk? It was a lot of fun. He is a lot of fun. Really cool guy. Anyway, so there are 4 well-established strategies for managing risk. Avoidance is by elimination of the risk. So if there's anything you can stop from happening, do it. Reduction is mitigation and sharing. And transference is outsourcing, or most commonly known as insuring. So when there's a risk transfer is when you insure yourselves. And retention is Yep, we have to accept that there is some degree of risk and we have to prepare for it. Not all of these strategies are always possible or available, but a real estate firm or licensee who fails to make a conscious effort to employ one or more of them increases the likelihood of loss that many potential risks are always present in the real estate business. Avoidance includes refraining from activity that carries the risk. So if you know, make it simple. If you know that you should not be doing this, why would you do it? Right? Simple. It happens a lot of times. I'll just give you a quick example so we can move forward. But it happens a lot of times where it used to happen. Now we have e-signatures, so it makes it a lot easier. But it used to happen a lot of time where we had the contracts by paper, right? And here we go with 14 pages where everybody must sign and initial everywhere, right? And then on page 2, an initial is missing. Now, as an agent, you probably don't see any harm in initialing for somebody else, right? Nothing wrong with that. Just like we know how to sign for our parents when we needed to get out of school. Nothing wrong with that, right? Who knows their parents' signatures? Why? I don't even have, seriously. Anyway, the answer should have been nobody, right? It's their signature, they do it. No. Anyway, so imagine there's a signature missing or initial missing. And you as an agent, it's just a signature. It's not going to hurt anybody. It's just a initial. It's not going to hurt anybody. If you know that it's wrong, why would you do it? Because all it takes is a transaction does not go through. Your client doesn't feel comfortable with what happened. Your client contacts you and says, hey, I want to see my file. Why wasn't my offer accepted? Whatever it might be. And as they're reviewing, they're like, wait a minute. That's not my initial. That's not how I do it. Right? So they can clearly tell what's theirs and what's not. That's all it takes for a lawsuit to come. Right? So if you know you can avoid it, why do it? Right? Very simple. Reduction. Well, reduction involves taking steps to reduce the probability or the severity of potential loss. So again, I'm not going to go through this, but imagine that you're going to a house as a professional, right? You're going to a house and you know that your job requires that you look at all aspects of the property. So reducing liability would be taking a good visual inspection of the property and asking the seller to prepare the seller's property condition disclosure statement, right? Or asking a buyer to order an inspection. Do not waive inspections, order an inspection, right? Order the appraisals. It's you referring to other professionals if it's something that you cannot determine, right? So reduction is not my monkey. I do what I'm supposed to do, and then, hey, between reduction and outsourcing, right, the transfers, right, we automatically reduce the liability. So these two go hand in hand, reduction and transfers, right? So outsourcing is the home inspector said, okay? The city inspector said, right? Millie said. Millie didn't get it. Hey, you were the inspector, so I have to pinpoint out to you, okay? So Millie said, right? But it's putting on somebody else. They said it was okay. I'm not the professional in that area, so I did my job. I did the visual inspection. I didn't see anything apparent here. Right? There's no leaks. Seller told me there's no leaks. Home inspector says doesn't look like there's leaks, and all of a sudden there's a leak. Hey, I'm sorry, right? For everything else, there's insurance, right? So that's the reduction and transfers. Finally, retention of risk means entering into an activity in spite of the known risks and taking full responsibility for the consequences. So this is in effect the self-insurance, and it's the only strategy left when risk cannot be reduced or transferred, or one has decided not to avoid it because of desirability of potential benefits. All right, so you know that there's a risk, but you're still doing it. So prepare for it. That's what it is. Now, risk management procedures. How do you manage risk? increasing your education, full disclosures, documenting and record keeping everything, and again, insurance, right? Education. Neely says, I? You can't hear me? What do you mean error? Oh, it was an error. It wasn't on purpose. The I was not on purpose. Okay, got it. I don't know. I thought you were saying, "Hey, just blame me. I'll take it." I don't know if that was I was. Hey, me, pick me. I'll take the blame. Said no inspector ever. All right. Anyway, so this is common sense. If you want to reduce risk, educate yourself. That's the first line of defense, as it says right here. Improve yourself, educate yourself, constantly improve yourself. This is key, right? Don't expect 2 years from now to do your renewal here in New Jersey as an example. Don't expect 2 years from now, oh, I got to do CE credits. No, do it because you want to. Learn about marketing, learn about short sales, learn about inspections, learn about appraisals, learn about marketing, right? Learn how to deal with buyers, learn how to deal with sellers. You're going to a commercial field, take those commercial courses. Educate, and learn how to improve yourself every single day. That's key, all right? But of course, the higher the education, the more they expect of you. So again, there's that balance, right? The other side of it is the higher the education, most likely the more income potential. So yeah, I know there's more expected of me, but also I'm getting to the next level and the one after, right? So education, first line of defense. Educate yourself. Disclosures, guys. We talked so much about this in previous chapters. We talked about disclosing agency relationships, right? So disclosure, it's protecting yourselves because, hey, I said it. I said I was going to represent you as a seller's agent or as a buyer's agent, or I represent both of you, or as a transaction broker, I represent none, right? So disclosure of your agency relationship. Disclosure of property conditions, whatever you saw, right? Disclose. If it's anything, remember, anything and everything that could affect the proposed transaction must be disclosed. Your duties, your obligations, your personal interest in the transaction, personal interest in referrals. Again, even when I refer business to Stephanie, I have to tell my client, right? Remember, I referred to Stephanie M, right? I have to tell my client, hey, listen, you're not my client, you're Stephanie's client because I'm handing you off to Stephanie, right? So I'm disclosing that I will get paid, right? But you're not my client, you're Stephanie's client. If you need me for anything, want to ask my opinion, you can, but I'm not part of the transaction. I will get paid, but I'm not part of the transaction. So disclosure. You want to avoid, you want to reduce the risk, disclose as much as you can, right? Even if it kills the deal, right? If disclosing, because it's mandatory, whatever it's mandatory disclosures, if disclosing will kill the deal, it's preferable to do that than to get sued, okay? And a lot of realtors nowadays, and I'm pretty sure Mealy as an inspector can attest to that. A lot of agents before, and not just nowadays, a lot of agents say, Millie, here's an envelope with some money. Could you please just pass this, please? Just this once. Like, close your eyes, like there's nothing here, right? How many times I see this happening? What? That's you engaging in something that will cause problems because we expect, yes, sir, because we expect the client not to know better, right? That's how a lot of agents handle themselves. The client doesn't know. I mean, easy. Raise your hand if you knew everything that was here so far. Raise your hand if you knew everything so far. So Nurka, you knew, Nurka raises her hand. Like, yeah, I knew it. Like, you're the last resort. I don't even know why I'm here. Right, Nurka? I will not, I forgive, but I don't forget, okay? That's it. Okay? So, yeah, like most people, the general public does not know these things. So they rely on the professional. And if I don't tell you, or if the inspector got paid, right? Then how are you serving your client? You just care about the money. So again, disclosures, disclosures, disclosures. Very important. Keeping good records of everything. So Stephanie asked me before in the previous part of today, is the referral in writing or verbal? It could be a verbal referral, but how am I protecting myself if something goes wrong, right? What if Stephanie's broker doesn't want to pay me, right? So that's put in writing. What if my client expects me to be part of it, right? Let's put it in writing that as a referral agent, Stephanie, you take the responsibility over this client, not me, right? I just refer. Whatever you do, it's now on you. You guys understand? So keep all records of everything. Nirika, no, never wish to know everything. Never, because the more you know, the more people come to you. It's a good thing and it's a bad thing, believe me. So you don't want everything. Yep. Don't get them mad at you. They'll tell everything. Even some client, oh yeah. So yeah. So never, ever, ever keep it verbal. Put everything in writing. Do not hide anything. It's not going to take you anywhere. I mean, it will immediately. But every state has something called statute of limitations. That means how long they have to sue you. And it could be up to 6 years, like here in New Jersey. So imagine you're all relaxed in your bed, and all of a sudden, here comes a lawsuit. Or here comes the FBI, depending on what you did. You thought it was behind you. Nope. For 6 years, you better sleep with one eye open if you did something wrong. All right? True stories, by the way. FBI walking into people's houses and getting arrested in front of family, right? Wife, kids, or husband, kids. It bites you in the assets, Robin, because your assets is what gets sued, not your behind. So your assets are what's going to get sued. That was a good one. All right, so properly or thoroughly documented paper trail include policy and procedure manuals for here for the office, for instance. Standard forms, don't try to deviate from what exists. Communication records, keep good records of your emails, text messages, keep them. Believe it or not, I have here thousands and tens of thousands of emails and if not hundreds of thousands of emails and text messages. Right, every time I go from one phone to another, or whenever I clean my phone, which I do once a year, it's like the longest. It's not even installing the apps. It's literally transferring calls, because I keep all the call records, transferring calls, transferring text messages, transferring the emails. Like everything is compiled here, right? And on the cloud, which is a cool thing, right? But I got calls from like 10 years ago. I got messages from 10 years ago. Right? At one point, I made a mistake and did not save. But for the past 10 years, more or less, all the records are here. You guys understand? Keep it as much as you can. Save it to the cloud in whatever way you can. If you have an iPhone, to the iCloud. But I have Samsung. I save to Samsung, and I save to my Gmail. So I have a Gmail account just for contacts, and to keep all my my apps, my text messages, calls, and everything. It's just for that. So it doesn't mix with all my other emails, right? And it's very important that you have that safe haven. If anything happens, you can go back and say, no. Here's the record of what happened with this property. I contacted my client on this. They contacted me back and said this. Always keeping records. Transaction records. So usually that goes with contracts, that goes with your brokerage. They're supposed to keep it, but you should keep a copy of everything you do as well. Scan it, archive it, okay? Hold proper accounting of the money, so keep records. Client gave me X amount of dollars and I gave to the broker. Now, obviously the broker has to keep proper records of that as well, and so on, all right? I just spoke about all that. Insurance. Okay. Many forms of insurance are available for property owners and managers. Some of these are also used to manage certain risks of brokers and licensees. So here at the office, as a business, we have the general liability, but you also have the errors and omissions. So general liability covers risks incurred by a property owner when the public or licensee enters the owned property. So as a business, I have to have the general liability in case somebody slips and fall here in the property, right? So when it comes to the office, I have to have that. We have workman's comp for our agents, because while they're out there, they're working on behalf of the company. So for that moment, workman's comp covers. We have errors and omissions. If you guys make mistakes, it covers for unprofessional conduct, for breach of contract, and so on. What a standard policy, look, now it's in green. As I keep on saying, what a standard policy does not cover is, for instance, fraud, violation of the law, mishandling of escrow monies, antitrust violations, sexual harassment, fair housing violations, agent-owned properties, right? Environmental violations, failure to detect or disclose environmental conditions, including mold, acts committed prior to licensure or after termination of active status, and activities that an appraiser, if licensing other than real estate licenses, required. So all of these are not covered by the insurance. Okay? Quite honestly, I don't know how you guys act. Do you guys drive on the road like, hey, I got insurance, I can do whatever I want? You guys do that? I know some people do it, so no. I have a good friend of mine, that's how he drives every day. For some reason, this guy never got caught, right? Or if he gets caught, the cops let him go. Like, I don't know how he does it, but he just lives his life almost like my cousin. They just live the life as, hey, whatever happens, happens. I don't do that. Because I have insurance doesn't mean I can go out there and be reckless, right? So here's the same thing. You have insurance. Still, do not violate the law. Do not practice any fraudulent or dishonest actions, right? Do not mishandle your client's money, all that good stuff. Make sure what you're doing, if at all, is mistakes, not a crime, okay? There's another type of insurance. There's another type of insurance called fire and hazard insurance. Now, that one's not for us. That's obviously for the homeowner, and it protects the house in case of fires or other hazards. It does not protect against flood. If it's in the flood zone, obviously you got to get flood insurance. There are other types of insurance, which will be property and casualty. In this case, casualty, because we already covered property. Casualty usually is included in the hazard insurance as well, which will cover theft, vandalism, burglary, illness, and accident, machinery damage, depending on if it's a business or if it's residential. Workers' comp, like I said, if an employee is injured in the course of employment, you're covered, right? So if you go and show a house and you slip and fall at that house, right, you're covered by workman's comp. You were there on behalf of the company. Contents and personal property. This is traditionally for renters, because property owners, they already have that included in their policy. But a rentals insurance, and by the way, everybody, if you're a tenant, it's only like 15 to 20 bucks maybe. If you're a tenant, get rental insurance, right? 15, 20 bucks a month, I think everybody can afford. So get it. I demand of my tenants to have this rentals insurance. Otherwise, you're not renting from me. Because my insurance as an owner covers the house and my stuff. It does not cover your stuff. So the 20 bucks at like worst case scenario, those 20 bucks is to cover your stuff in case of a fire, in case of a flood, right? So make sure you have renter's insurance. Consequential loss, use, and occupancy. Well, let's say what happened now. A disaster. We lost revenue in the business, right? So by losing revenue in the business, can we get money from the insurance? We didn't, but we could have, right? We could have got money. A lot of people applied for the insurance. Actually, let me say this. A lot of people don't know that their business has this insurance. A lot of people don't know if your business shut down or due to a disaster like pandemic, for instance, right? that you're entitled to apply for an insurance claim. How many of you knew this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, cool. 4 people. So this means that 16 people did not know. And 4 people that knew, the 4 people that knew, did you tell your friends or family that had businesses? Okay, David did. And everybody else is like, well, I knew about it, but who cares? Anyway, so just kidding. The point is, if you know something, say something. You don't know how sometimes you could be changing somebody's life just by giving this type of advice. For instance, let me go back to this. Casualty. Did you guys know that if a tenant leaves and destroys the apartment, you guys know that you can put a vandalism claim? Because that's what it is. So your homeowner's insurance could cover the repairs of your apartment. How many of you knew this? 1, 2 hands, 3. Okay, 3 hands. You guys got it? So I did fix some apartments by calling the vandalism claim. So $20,000, right? That was the average of those apartments, $20,000 of damage. And yeah, I applied for insurance. Try to collect on them later on. Good luck. That's the property owner insurance, yes. Do you need a police report? So your insurance will tell you if you need one. Sometimes they ask for it. Depending on how big the claim is, sometimes they ask for a police report. But what if you do? It's true, they damage, it's vandalism. So go ahead and put a police report. The police is not going to go and get him. They're just putting a record of vandalism. You still need to sue them. So the police might not do anything because of the amounts, right? Let's see. Machinery damage. This is casualty in general. So that's let's say you had a business that has machinery and it causes damage to your business, like now going to the loss of business. However, by using insurance, it goes higher. Your payments go up after you file a claim. Verona, when you put these claims, are you considered high risk and will pay more? See, that's where the difference between car insurance and house insurance comes in. The answer is usually no. It will not go up. If it's a recurring event, if it happens all the time, then you're in an area where you're prone to vandalism, then yes. Car insurance, you get into a car accident, boom, they bump you up right away. House claims, usually no. But if you do repeated claims, as I said, then yes. Right? I think there's only one property, if I can recall correctly. There's only one property where I had to make 2 claims on it. The same property, 2 claims. So therefore, if the insurance, they never raised me, but if the insurance wanted, they could have increased the premium, but they never did. So I don't have recurring claims because usually I have good relationships with my tenants. So never needed. It did happen. Did you say you need a police report? You might not, depending on the insurance company. Depending on depending on the claim, the insurance company will ask for a police report or not. If you say no police report, sometimes they proceed with a claim, right? But if they really want to, they can ask for it. It's like a car accident. Not always do you have a police report for the car accident, but they still cover the damage. So it depends. Robin, does that insurance is insurance? So commercial or residential for the insurance claim? Is that what you're asking? Okay. So insurance is insurance. If you have a casualty insurance and there's vandalism to your store, right? Or let's say, right? Can you put a claim for vandalism? You can. So insurance is insurance. what most insurance companies, so let me bring a point here. What most insurance companies try to do, even though they said they would pay claims, right? What most of them try to do is say, hey, this is an exception to our rules, so we don't cover this, we don't cover that. They always try to do that. That's why having a public adjuster to handle your claims, right, usually is better than trying to do it yourself. Will you have to pay a fee to the public adjuster? Most likely. But that would be the difference between getting nothing or getting $20, $30, $40, or $50,000. So public adjusters, what they do is examine the policy and see what's covered, what's not covered, and they push the insurance company to the max without penalties if it was supposed to be covered. Without penalties to you, the insured. Okay? All right. Next, we have primary areas of risk. And again, through this briefly. Agency. You guys already know what agency means, right? Who can tell me what agency means? Very good. Agency means representation for a fee. That's good. Agreement between the agent and the broker. No. Agreement between the agent and the client. The agent is the broker. You are a sub-agent. Remember. So agency, we're not talking about real estate agency. I'm talking about agency. Agency is the relationship between the principal, as Elena wrote, and an agent. And principal, Elena, just to correct you on something, not trying to be smarter or smart aleck or anything like that, but principal in this concept is AL at the end, not LE. So the principle of something is what you should do or not do. Principal is who you represent. Okay? So you're looking at, I know you keep doing the same thing. And I'm only saying this because when you read the questions, you want to make sure what is being asked. They could be asking what is the principle of an agency, right? Which is representation, right? What is being the principle? It's somebody you represent, okay? So under the risks of agency, they will occur in one of two areas. Either the fact that you have to inform and disclose, or your agency duty, which is being care, obedience, accounting, loyalty, and disclosure, right? So how you conduct yourself as an agent, what you should do for that principal, right, the client, or what you should do for a customer. So these are the risks of agency. You guys already know these right here. Disclosure requirements. Well, because a licensee may be acting in the transaction as a facilitator, agent, sub-agent, designated agent, single agent, dual agent, or non-agent, or in some other capacity. Regardless of your status, you must follow the state disclosure requirements, which usually include verbally, right? Or in writing, or both. Okay? So disclosing right at the initial contact, this is what you can expect from me verbally. As soon as you can, put it in writing, right? And depending on what it was, get a signed receipt indicating that the written disclosure has been made. All right? Again, I'm just going right through because we covered all this stuff. Carrying out the duties of agency also require disclosures of your interest in a transaction. We just read that earlier. Your personal benefit the agent will derive from a service referral. We talked about that also. Required property or market information, which you're supposed to know. And information about customers a client is entitled to have. Right? So for instance, if you represent the seller, and a buyer shows up, you don't represent them, then the seller should know, because the seller is your principal, right? Principal, let's call it pal, my pal. Principal, you should tell the seller, hey, I represent you, just want to let you know, I haven't seen yet a pre-approval, or they still have to do the inspections and they haven't done it yet, whatever it might be that relates to the customer. So that disclosure must be given to your client. Your duties, whether you work for the client or the customer, to all parties, you must act honestly, be fair, have a reasonable degree of care and skill, and disclose, as you guys already know. To your client, we just talked about this: care, obedience, accounting, loyalty, and disclosure. Right? The skill and diligence goes with care. That's why usually I skip it. So it goes with it. Okay? We already covered all these. Covered. They're just restating. Conflict of interest. I gave you that example too. Confidentiality. You're not going to tell the client that, to the customer, that your client is going through divorce or losing their job or can't afford the mortgage. You're not passing that information along unless your client said, hey, it's okay, just whatever, I just want to close. Like whatever they offer, I'm good with it. Right? If your client specifically states that, then go ahead. If not, you'll never reveal your client's situation. You guys already know property conditions. So yes, you must disclose to everyone the conditions of the property. Okay? Now, even though you disclose everything, right? You've disclosed everything so far, you might still be subject to legal action for deliberately distorting the facts. That's called intentional misrepresentation, which will lead you to cheat any party, or also known as fraud, or concealing or failing to disclose adverse facts which the licensee knew about or should have known. So we already covered this as well. This is intentional or unintentional misrepresentation. Lead-based paint. If the property was built before, this is like a review of everything we said as far as disclosures. If the property was built before 1978, you guys know very well that you must disclose, hey, there's a high probability that this property has lead-based paint, right? Therefore, you must provide a pamphlet about lead-based paint and a disclosure in the contract that says, since the property was built before 1978, you as the buyer have the right to inspect the property for lead-based paint within 10 days. So no contract is valid, enforceable until the 10 days have passed. Only for properties built before 1978. Other disclosures you might have to provide is if you know about termites, right? If you have a report about termites, you must pass it along. If you know the soil test report, so you know that there's a damage to the soil, you must pass it along, and so on. I mean, common sense. Whatever you know that affects or impacts the transaction must be disclosed. Calendar days. Muslima, calendar days. By the way, if you go to in the student portal under resources, there is the timeline there, so you can download those. Okay? It also shows like all the timelines, fees, penalties, and all that stuff. It's all there for New Jersey. If you are in another state, then most of what's there applies to all the rules in every state. There's just some that are New Jersey specific. Listing agreements, obviously, you're responsible for the accuracy of those statements. Again, I think what you guys are understanding so far is that everything falls on you, right? Because you are the agent. Okay? As the buyer's agent, are you required to do a termite inspection? Well, Robin, we don't do anything for the buyer or anything for the seller beyond negotiation. What we do is consult. So it's our responsibility to make sure everything is in order so we can properly consult or assess the status of this property and let our client know, whether the seller or the buyer, that certain things should be done. That's it. Okay? So again, we're highly paid consultants. Just like a psychiatrist or a psychologist, they don't do absolutely anything other than listen to what, no offense. My point is, we don't do anything other to listen. So once we listen, then we can help you interpret whatever the situation might be or suggest things. And they get paid very well, right? As real estate agents, we also do absolutely nothing other than hear what our clients' wants and needs are, and then help them reach their goal. So we only do that. We consult them towards their goal. Same as a psychologist or psychiatrist. We don't prescribe pills, but we can help in other ways, right? Any psychologists or psychiatrists here? Okay. Elena, you are one? Just want Jeffrey, help me out for a second. If she wants to sue me, I do have errors in omissions insurance, but if she wants to sue me because of defamation, I was very clear. All she does is consult, right? You don't get into people's minds and tell them what to think or not think, or that little thing there. No, we don't do that. That was my point. It's funny. Sometimes I have attorneys, sometimes I have cops, and I always say something. So, but I'm also going against myself and against you guys. We don't do anything. Most agents are actually even lazier. They don't even consult, which is required of your license. Crazy. And now some of you are probably thinking, that's why when I bought my house, my agent did not do this, did not do that, right? They're like, yep. Well, there's good cops, there's bad cops. There's good attorneys, there's bad attorneys. There's good realtors, there's bad realtors. Okay? There's there's good psychologists, and then there's Elena. So we never know, right? One of these days. All right, comps. We're supposed to have the skills, knowledge, and diligence when doing comparables, making sure we understand the market. It's one of the reasons why I don't like to deal with other markets other than Newark. Because I don't know what's happening in Elizabeth. I mean, I lived in Elizabeth, right? But I don't know what's happening with the market there. So can I give you an idea based on what you tell me? Yes. Can I be the expert in Elizabeth? I don't want to. I'm the expert in Newark. I don't need to know all the markets. You understand? Like Bergen County, we just talked about Stephanie M before, right? That's not me. So I would rely on somebody that lives there or that works there to give me that info. So why would I do comps in a place that I do not understand? Right? It makes a huge difference. Just looking at sales does not mean that you know how to calculate the proper market analysis. Like, does not mean anything. So understand the market. We went over this in appraisals, right? And real estate markets. You need to be able to estimate closing costs. As of Friday, you guys should know by now how to estimate closing costs, right? We talked about some closing costs. What was closing, right? What to expect. And I told you that the good thing is that we have the CD and the LE, which help us figure out what this is. Who remembers what LE is? Loan estimate. Very good. Very good. I saw your question, Ms. Lima. Just like Robin's question, I'll address in a second. Okay? I still did not forget Robin's question. Okay, Robin? But loan estimate. What is CD? Closing disclosure. Very good. So the LE and the CD, both of them have an estimate or a factual closing disclosure, right? A factual closing cost comes with it. So in the beginning, here's what you can expect. At the end, this is what it is, right? So closing costs. If you don't know how to estimate, at least go through the loan estimate and explain to your client what it is. Advertising. You guys already know you cannot advertise whatever you want. There are certain regulations. Things that you can disclose, things you can't disclose, things you must disclose, like, for instance, financing. You must disclose that, hey, if you're paying this much, that means that it was based on these qualifications. What is the APR? All that good stuff must be disclosed. Verona, that's right, the toolkit first. That will help you, absolutely. Authorizations and permissions. So to post a sign, to remove other signs, bunch of other stuff. All right. Again, briefly going over all this because we already talked about it. Unauthorized practice of law. When we talked about preparing contracts, do we prepare contracts? Yes, if allowed by state law, we prepare contracts on standard forms, right? Anything beyond standard forms, that's something that doesn't fall within the scope of the basics that the state said, hey, it's okay. Anything beyond that, attorneys prepare. What we prepare is LOIs or letters of intent. Okay? So you only prepare contracts according to your state's approval. You fill in the blanks, and that's it. Okay? You cannot make any statements about law either. Answering questions, nothing that was steering, listing agreements, we cover all this. Right? Covered. This is antitrust. Suspension, we just talked about that in the previous chapter, license suspension. All right, what if you don't know? So there's different representations, misrepresentation. There's intentional and there's unintentional. I'm on page 370. So there's intentional and there's unintentional misrepresentation. So unintentional is also called innocent. You did not know, right? But it could also be innocent or honest misrepresentation. It could also be negligent. Okay? So on yours is 356, Prince Kelly? Okay. So unintentional, you did not do it on purpose, but it's something you should have known, right? Or it's something that there's no way you would have known. Should have known means you're supposed to have the skills, right? And do the due diligence and care enough for your clients that you look up and down to the sides, you see all the details of the property, or ask the questions to the right people, like the seller. So you should have known, you should have done your job. That's negligent if you misrepresented something. Innocent is all the parties told you so. Right? I already covered this. The seller's property condition disclosure statement, the inspectors told you, the mortgage person told you, the attorney told you. It was not me. So if I did not know, if there's no way I would have known, then I'm innocent in this misrepresentation. So these are the two types of unintentional misrepresentation. Okay? If you're found guilty, you also will be liable to pay fines. So again, negligent, pay fines. Innocent, you might not, if you can prove that. Okay? Intentional misrepresentation, the next page. Intentional misrepresentation. Again, you know about it. You did not say anything, or you steer the person away from the fact. That is called fraud. If it's intentional, if you see something in the state exam that says intentional misrepresentation or distortion of facts, it's fraud. Look for the answer that says fraud. If it talks about fraud, then look for the answer that says intentional misrepresentation. Okay? Because nobody commits fraud without knowing. You commit fraud knowing what you're doing. Right? Has anybody ever committed fraud without knowing? Anybody? Raise your hand. There's nobody's going to admit to this, of course. How come you know your parents' signatures? I asked about that before, didn't I? I know who committed fraud. Those that raise your hand. Don't worry. I'm not going to tell anyone. Let me just take notes on my report here. These people right here. That one. Innocent. Oh, because you were a minor? When you found out. Okay, got it. Like you never did after the age of 18. All right. Reporting, qualifying buyers. We talked about this. Lending fees disclosure. We talked about this. Appraisal problems. RESPA violations. Guys, we covered all this last week. Trust fund handling. Trust fund, we're going to put escrow. Okay. And now I'm going to address Robin's question. Muslim, I still did not forget yours. Okay, but now it's Robin's question. So trust fund or trust account or escrow account, trust fund handling, right? This is where we're going to find commingling, right? That was Robin's question before in the previous chapter, right? So state laws prescribe how licensees must handle any escrow or earnest money deposits that they receive. Those laws usually state that a broker must hold money received in connection with a purchase or lease of real property in a trust fund account. Now, the type of account and financial depository are specified. The broker must record the receipt of money and place the money in a trust account within a specified time period. Usually, the law allows a broker to hold an earnest money check uncashed until the offer is accepted, provided that the buyer gives written permission and the seller is informed. So you guys remember that when we put an offer, we put a nominal fee, like $1,000, right? Or depending on the value of the house, we put $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 as a nominal fee, right? It's only to make sure that you're serious about the transaction. Is it mandatory? Most states, no. That's why it's called good faith deposit in most states, right? So it's just saying, I really want to do this, and here's a 1,000 reasons why, right? Here's $1,000 is 1,000 reasons why. So the typical trust fund or escrow account handling requirements include the broker named as a trustee of the account, right? A federally insured bank or recognized depository located in the state, so an authorized financial institution in the state, an account that is not interest bearing because it's for other people's money, right? So not interest bearing. Maintenance of records in a particular accounting format, separate records kept for each beneficiary, property, or transaction. Because guys, if we have 1,000 transactions running in a month, do you think we're going to open 1,000 accounts? No. It's one account. We hold proper accounting for everybody's money. Record of funds received and paid out regularly, reconciled with bank statements, and withdrawals only by the broker, trustee, or other specifically authorized person. Okay? Right here, going back up to trust fund handling, I want you to write OPM. This is and will always be my favorite drug, right? And realtors, that's what we do. We use other people's property and other people's money, right? So it goes into the escrow account. Escrow means third party. In this case, third party's monies. So it does not belong to you. Why am I pointing this out again, Robin? Because of commingling and conversion. The moment you mix other people's money with your money, like business money, it becomes commingling. So if you deposit into the wrong account, it becomes commingling. If you take too long to deposit, whatever the period of time is prescribed by state, it becomes commingling. Conversion is where you use other people's money for your personal gain. So for instance, you deposit $1,000 towards the offer, right, towards the purchase, and I turn around and I use that money to buy a new computer for the business. That's conversion. Commingling is the mixing of funds. Conversion is me using your money for other purposes. All right? And this, here in New Jersey at least, is the most common mistake that brokers and salespeople make. If you guys ever look for what they've been sued for or what the complaints have been, mainly commingling and conversion. Okay? So we covered that in the previous chapter. So I'm just going to move right through because we still have that in New Jersey again. All right? So, guys, we pretty much covered the whole chapter, risk management. It was a summary of everything we went through, right, in these previous chapters. I think it's clear what you can and cannot do and what you should do, right? What's morally and ethical, right? Obligated of you, right? So if you have any questions regarding something specific, regarding risk management, regarding ethical concerns that you might have, drop them down in the chat. Otherwise, we're done with the class, and tomorrow we start with state specific. Robin, yes, 100% illegal. Commingling, conversion, illegal. Okay, it's other people's money. That's why it's an escrow account. It's separate, third party. Repeat conversion. Conversion. Next question was conversions when I use your money for business or personal use. It's your money. It's not mine. So why should I touch it? Right? So conversion, first commingling happens. Conversion is now I use it for something. Yes, Yvette, it's public records. So you go to the real estate commission, and there's one of the tabs there is about orders against certain people, right? So salespeople, brokers, right? Everything is there. Everything is public. And if you have a chance, if you have the time, if you remember, go through it. Not right now, finish the course, but definitely go through it, because it's eye-opening. Sometimes there's things there that I saw, wait a minute, how is this wrong? And then I read the order and the explanation why. And then it helps me even to teach, because now I know why certain things are good, certain things are bad, even though it's not very clear. Because remember, ethics is like that gray line. There's a black and white, and then ethics is what's morally right or wrong, right? So one thing is what's stated in the law, another thing is morally right. Yvette, it's public. So whether you have license or not, the public should be able to know if a licensee should be trusted or not. So, like for instance, if you want to check up on me, go there and search my name. You'll never find, at least until now, knock on wood, knock on everything you can. But until now, I have no complaints, zero complaints against me. So you can go there and find out. It's like going, I don't know if you guys know where we are now in life and lifestyles and professions, right? Everything's verifiable. In fact, I can show up and give you my business card that says that I'm a professional, right? But a lot of people nowadays only rely on Facebook, Instagram. Like they go see LinkedIn and they go see, well, is this guy really in real estate? Can I trust, right? And you take those for granted, right? Go to the real estate commission. You can find my license there. Go to the real estate commission and look for orders or any injunctions, or which is a court order against particular people. Search my name, right? And then you'll know the type of professional that I am. Zero complaints so far, all right? So it's very important, guys. This is for you. People, we now live in a socially verifiable world, right? It's no longer, I trust your word and I know who you are. No. Let me go search you up, right? Before I do business with you, let me see who you are and what you're all about. Simple. That's why, again, I tell everybody on social media, don't post anything that's politically driven, religiously driven, right? Anything that could cause any type of misrepresentation, right? So, or discrimination. You want me to send you my direct number again? Oh, that's more expensive. Second time, I got to charge. It's 908-418-8325. By the way, I'm not very good with calls. I don't have the time, as you can tell. I'm always either teaching in the morning, teaching in the evening. So WhatsApp is my preferred method of contact. Send me messages there, and if I don't reply right away, keep on insisting. I will get to you, I promise. I might take some time, right, Bianca? I might take some time, but I reply, right? So any questions, Francielli knows as well. Some of you I've replied Millie sometime, right? If not, do like Millie did. 18 Oliver Street. Just come here and just, hey, Bruno, I've been calling you. That's it. Okay? The door is open. So you're not savvy enough to know how to. Aren't you in the WhatsApp group? I thought you were. But anyway, text me then, or just show up. 18 Oliver Street. Right? Or you got Facebook? You can send me on Messenger too. That's fine. Just go for Instructor Bruno and send me a message there. Again, if I don't reply right away, I'm sorry. Again, I have an 8-hour job, which is teaching, morning 4 hours, evening 4 hours. And then I have a 12-hour job after that, which is the business, running the business. and hopefully some sleep. And then on the weekends, I got the kids. So I still reply on Sundays too. So anything you guys need, let me know. What's the website for? What? Which website? I'm sorry. For the real estate commission? Oh, well, we're gonna talk about that next week. Not week. Next week, tomorrow. But Millie says I need your your energy. All right, so State of New Jersey Real Estate Commission. It's what I sent you. You can go there and go to now. Even to file complaints is through that website. And you go where it says enforcement activity. I'm going to send it to you. Yep, that enforcement activity right there. And it goes all the way back to 1996. If you want more than that, you have to go to the Real Estate Commission. But go there. Question? Questions? By the way, you guys are always welcome to come visit this location. Always welcome to come and see what we have. Yvette, do I have an alias? Yeah, so my criminal name is no alias. No, also known as, no. Okay. Do I have free coffee? Didn't I offer when you were here? Yeah. Always free coffee. If you have more people showing up when I'm the last resort, Nurika, listen, I'm charging double. That's what I'm doing. Again, Yvette, is it good coffee? I don't know. For me, it is. I mean, it might not be good coffee for you. I don't know. I have 3 different kinds of coffees. I have Italian, I have Colombian, and I have Arabic coffee, I think. So just show up. Not while I'm teaching. I mean, unless you just want to meet my partner Pedro, then. All right. Any other questions? No questions? Francielli, I'm sorry. I asked if you wanted anything. Don't come with that. She says I didn't offer. Not true. Anyway. I didn't ask Millie because she walked in and walked out. Like, oh, I'm busy. I'm too busy. Right? I came here for one thing, give me what I need, and she was out. Like, literally. All right, guys. If there's no questions related to the chapter or any other questions, always. If there's no other questions, then guys, we're leaving early. Not bad, huh? An hour early? Should we stay? Wait, we can start another chapter, right? No? No. All right. So, guys, I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. if anybody wants to join the morning class. If you want to, like, as a review. If not, then I'll see you. Oh, de nada. Then I'll see you at 5:30 tomorrow. Thank you, guys. Have a great evening. Except for New York, because I'm the last resort. Bye.